What's up everybody, it's Rafi from Zerb, and you're going to learn something new about the foundation grid today. So you probably have used the regular foundation grid and the regular grid sizing classes, but we also have something called a block grid. Now a block grid is great because you can define parent level sizing. That means you can put classes on the row itself to define how many blocks are in each line of your layout. And so this is really cool because it means you can have an arbitrary number of columns inside of your rows. And so if you're loading dynamic content into your page, it doesn't matter how many columns you have, they'll just keep wrapping to the next line over and over and over again, as many as you need. So that's really cool. And it's also a great way to create evenly sized blocks of content. And also if you're doing a 5-up layout or a 5-column layout, Block Grid does a really great job for that too. Right out of the box, you don't need to use any semantic grid classes to make that happen. So Block Grid is really awesome, and I'm going to show you some different things you can do with it right out of the box. Alright, so we're going to start by building a layout similar to purecycles.com. They have a really nice big hero image here, and then these blocks here where there's 4 of them in one line. So this is going to be a 4-up layout on the large breakpoint. And then down below here we have a 3-up layout. So that's 3 columns or 3 blocks on each line. And then the content continues to wrap down the page. So if we were to inject 2 or 3 more images into this layout, they would actually continue wrapping down below. So it doesn't matter how many columns you add into this row, it's going to continue wrapping. Now, the Foundation Block Grid classes control how many items or columns are going to fit on each line for each breakpoint. So they're responsive. So that means if we now scale down to the medium breakpoint, a little bit more, we'll see that now there's going to be 2 on each line. So this is a 2-up layout up here. Now down here on the medium breakpoint, we still have a 3-up layout. So it's not until we get down to the small breakpoint that now this is a 2-up layout and this is a 2-up layout. So you can see how a block grid would be really useful for arbitrary amounts of content and then being able to control their behavior in a responsive manner. Okay, so let's go ahead and build this layout. So I already put my hero image in here, and now we just need to build the rest of the layout with the block grid. So we're looking for this 4-up layout as depicted here. So we'll go ahead and start with a row. So just like your normal grid, you would start with a row and then your columns would go inside. Now we're going to apply parent level sizing to this, so that is the block grid classes. So what that means is you don't have to put any sizing classes on the columns themselves because they're all going to be the same width. Okay, so we're going to start with small up 2. So that's going to create a 2-up layout or 2 blocks on each line for a small screen. Now it's mobile first, so that will also apply to medium. Now it will also apply to large unless we override it. So on large, we actually want to override that and make it 4. So going back to this design, we have 4 on each line, and then on medium we have 2 on each line, and on small. So to achieve that, we're going to use these block grid classes just like we did here. So small, and this also applies to medium, is going to be 2 blocks on each line and then 4. So now we're going to add our columns. So you can use the column class or you can use columns with an S. It's up to you, but this is only one column, so column. And then we're going to use our favorite placeholder image provider, and we're just going to pop an image in there. So now I'm going to copy and then paste this column in there 4 times. All right, so now I have this layout with 4 up on large screen. Get down to medium, now we're 2 up. And then on small, we're also 2 up. So it's a really good way to set this up. And now we're going to continue on to the next row. Okay, so the next row is going to be a little different. So we have 3 up on a large screen. If we scale down to medium, we're still 3 up. And then only when we get down to the small breakpoint, now we're 2 up. So we're going to set those classes up as well. So we'll start with that. So small up 2. And so on a medium screen, we want it to be 3. So we'll do medium up 3. Now, since it's the same on large, we don't need to define a large class. You could, but you don't need to because it will go medium and up. Okay, and then we'll put our columns in here. So we'll just go ahead and use the same classes. Okay, and then we'll put 9 of these in there. So as you can see, they'll just continue flowing down the page until we have 9. Okay, so one thing you're going to notice right away is that there's no gap between the columns vertically. So all the columns are just stacked on top of each other, and so the images look like they're bleeding into each other. So that is by default because columns don't have any kind of vertical spacing on them out of the box. But if you want to add some, you can definitely do that. Usually your content itself would control that, like paragraph tags, header tags, things like that. Since these are just simple columns with images, you can manually add padding to the bottom of the column if you'd like. Otherwise, there's a built-in class for the block grid. So we're going to go ahead and add that class in. So the class to add this spacing is called a column block. So if you add this class, column block, to your blocks, now they're going to have some vertical spacing in between. And actually what it does is it matches that vertical spacing perfectly with the gutter. So it uses the foundation grid gutter to create that vertical spacing to match the spacing between horizontally as well. So now you have that perfect spacing left, right, top, and bottom. And so we'll go ahead and apply these, the same class to these columns down below. And now we'll really get the setup that we want. Okay. So now you can see that we have the layout that we want. So we wanted it to be 2 up on small here and medium, and then 4 up on large, and we are. And then here we wanted this to be 3 up on large and medium, and then 2 up on small. So as you can see, it definitely does follow that. And now we have that perfect spacing horizontally and vertically. So it's a few easy ways to set up your block grid. We're going to show you one more thing too, is if you're using the Flexbox version of the block grid, this is a really cool thing that you'll definitely find handy. So there's one thing to notice here. So we have 9 blocks here. So when you scale down to a small screen, that means you have this one widow block on the line here. And it looks fine that it's left aligned, and that's totally cool if you want to leave it that way. But if you don't want to leave it that way, take a look at the Pure Cycles website that we were looking at. They have hidden one of the items actually to create this layout where it's perfectly even. So now there's only 8 items here. So I don't know about you, but hiding an item, maybe that might lose you a sale. That might not be the best solution. Maybe you want to leave that in there. So one option is to just leave it as is with the widow. But if you're using the Flexbox Grid, you have this really cool class that you can add to the parent up here, to the row. We're gonna add the Align Center class. So this uses Flexbox, and it does justify content center. And so now if you have any widows, you'll see that they automatically center themselves. And it actually doesn't matter how many you have, it will automatically know to center them. So another example, we'll put that class up top here. Okay, and it doesn't make a difference when you have an even number, but let's remove one of these columns. And now you can see that we have 3. It actually automatically centers them inside their container, and then it will center the child down below. So it doesn't matter if you have 2 children down below, 3, as many as it needs to fill up the block grid designation, it will center them. So another really cool thing that you could do with Flexbox and the block grid as well. So there's a lot of different use cases for the block grid. It will automatically clear your floats if you're using the regular float grid. If you're using Flexbox, then you can have it align the children that don't fill up the blocks completely. So if you have it defined as small up 4, let's say, but you only have 3 blocks, it will actually center those for you automatically. All right, that's it for this week, and now you can use the Foundation Block Grid to make a lot of really cool layouts like image galleries and product lists. So we put out new lessons every week, so make sure to hit the subscribe button up above so the Yeti can buy new snowshoes. And if you're looking for advanced topics on Foundation, we're running an advanced Foundation class coming up soon. Just check out the link below, and we'll see you in class.